and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for all Tauruses out there. Sun, Moon, Venus and Rising Taurus. This is a reading for you for 2020. I am going to apologise right away for not having got this done previously. I have been sidetracked or busy, shall we say, with other things, so I haven't managed to get around to getting this done on my channel, but I am putting them all out there. Now I'm focusing my attention on them as much as I can, so I'm trying to put one out every day now until the end of the month. They should all be out there before then. I will also be doing other videos as well for the full moon and the new moon as well, so if you're interested in checking them out, they will be coming out as well. I have already done full moon and new moon videos as well, major kind of astrological changes as well. So if you're new to this channel and you're interested in astrology as well as tarot, you might want to go and check them out too. So Taurus, this is a 2020 reading. Like I said, there will be a link in the description box down below for anybody who wants to check out their natal chart. It will be a link for a free natal chart for anybody who wants to find out more about their own astrology and where the planets are for yourselves. And also, if you don't know your rising, your Venus or your moon sign, you can go and check them out, and once you've checked them out you can also have a look at the videos that relate to those signs, because you might find more information and clarity and insight in those readings for 2020 as well. So the setup for this is in a circle like a clock, and each of the numbers represents a month, and each month has two cards on it from two separate decks, and there are two cards in the center of the reading as well, which are the kind of overall energy of the reading. The other cards are laid out before I take the overall reading energy, and the cards that have come out for your, like, the heart of the reading. So the first card I'm going to start with for yourselves today, Taurus, is this card here, the Star card, which is saying to me that there may be a situation where you feel as though you have kind of opened up Pandora's box, because this is literally Pandora opening up the box and letting all the nasty beasts and the illnesses, the diseases and all the kind of suffering that we see in the world today out into the world. And at the bottom of the box is this beautiful star, which is why it's called the Star card. This beautiful star which she was kind of not expecting to see. And the star represents hope as well as healing as well. But it says to me, because this is an overall energy card for 2020, this is going to be your overall energy. And it is basically saying to me, Taurus, is don't give up. Don't give up. Keep your eye on this star, on this hope, on this belief that something can get better, that things can improve. I get the feeling that this is something that you may feel that has been around for a while as well, Taurus, that there's this kind of like you just feel as though you kind of get through one situation and something else just kind of immediately rises up in your face, and you're kind of, oh, I thought I dealt with all this, but it just keeps coming back. There's just more. There just seems to be more. So that's what I'm kind of saying. Keep your eye on this. Don't give up on hope. Don't give up on the belief that things will get better and can get better. Because if we give up on hope sometimes, hope is a really kind of intangible energy, because it's something you can't put your finger on it. You can't exactly express to somebody what hope is, but we all have it. And if we don't have it, or I say we all, there are people out there who don't have any hope, and unfortunately I believe that, you know, these people who don't have any hope and completely give up on themselves and on life are people who just will unfortunately fall by the wayside, or even go as far as to finish their own lives as well, because without hope we really can at times have nothing, and there can be this overall despairing energy. So that's the energy that's going to be around for 2020. So just hang on to that hope, hang on to that belief in yourself, and the belief that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. It's come out with the Seven of Water, also known as the Seven of Cups, which is normally a card of confusion. I'm going to say it is a card of confusion because it's in reverse. And there is just this feeling here of you maybe not knowing what it is that you're actually hoping for. And maybe that's another reason why you're confused, because you don't really know what it is. There's a feeling you know that you want something, but there could also be this feeling of that any of these kind of choices that you have here, many different choices, but they may not be what you're wanting or looking for or hoping for. And so there could also be this feeling of like, do I have to take one of these kind of in order to get something? If I don't choose, if I don't make that choice, if I don't make that decision, am I going to end up with nothing? Or also, if I do make the decision, am I going to make the wrong choice here? Why am I choosing whatever it is that I'm going to choose? What's the reason behind that choice? And that can cause confusion and this state of kind of not wanting to make a choice at all as well. I'm coming out with the Star card, the overall energy. I just get the feeling of kind of this all kind of representing this here, this kind of fear of making the wrong choice and ending up having to deal with more of this, and that sometimes it's better not to make a choice at all, or that's maybe how you'll feel, is that if I don't make any choice at all, there won't be any consequences. But there is always consequences, whether we make a choice, whether we don't make a choice, action or non-action, there are always consequences. We can't escape it. So that's your overall energy for 2020 here, Taurus. And the first card that you have come out in January is the Magician, which is a great card to have because it's saying to me that you are at this moment in time kind of manifesting something. You've got, or the Magician has one hand pointing up and one hand pointing down, which is always that kind of as above, so below, bringing the energy down to make it concrete, make it manifest in the physical world, which is why he's got all his tools here. He's got his cup for the emotions and the passion of the caduceus here, which is the creative energy, the fire, the creativity that's needed in order for something to come into fruition in the first place. And also the sword here, the thought behind it, the thinking mind, the logic is how it's going to work out, how you're going to do something. The cup being the passion, like I said, a passion in a different way to the caduceus, to the fire creative energy, which is also a passionate energy. But this is kind of, in a way, I suppose you really have to love something that you're doing. If you love it, then you can really make it work for you. And then the pentacle for me represents the physical realm that you're working in, bringing all of this together within the physical realm to manifest it and create it. And it is like a crossroads here. He is literally at a crossroads. And you may feel that at this time in January, as we move into the first month, there's been a lot of astrological transits happening. For you Taurus, you have a lot of Uranus energy in your charts at this moment in time. Uranus being the big change, unexpected, but change nonetheless. And Uranus is going to be in the sign of Taurus for the next, I think it's probably about six and a bit years. I think it's been there almost a year now. And the card that came out with this card is interesting as well, because this is the Two of Pentacles. So this is about earth, physical reality, bringing it down. Her hands are very similar as well to his as well. If you look here, she's got this pentacle and her hand is up in the air, and this one's down here as well. So it speaks about balance as well. It's about balancing out. Maybe it's about balancing out your work life as well as your love life, relationship life. About bringing things into balance for yourself. Not necessarily having to balance it out, because this is about yourself as well. The Magician is about manifesting something that you really want, Taurus. Something that is important to you. Something that is of value to you in January. Like I was saying, we have just had all these major transits with Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which is also very earth energy as well. Very much about our reality. Also about the physical realm, our bodies, taking care of ourselves. So I just think they're very similar energies in the sense of it can also be kind of seen as juggling as well, but I like to think of it more as a balancing act that she's doing here. But she's doing it very gracefully. She's doing it very kind of like, it's like she has it under control. She knows what she's doing, particularly with the Magician here as well, kind of almost like supporting her in the background, shall we say. Almost like there's this support there. For me as well, the kind of cloak that he wears, the red cloak, relates to the root chakra as well, which again is that kind of base chakra. It's our sexuality drive, it's our physical world, the physical realm, the root chakra. It's what connects us to the earth. And Native American Indians, the red road as well, was always kind of like, you know, walk your walk and talk your talk. Be true and honest to yourself. And I think that's what's being asked of Taurus here, is to be honest and truthful with themselves, to do what they want to do for themselves, to balance out their life. And in February, Taurus, you're moving into this energy of walking away with the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups, for me, it's not just about walking away from an emotional situation, although it does talk about walking away from an emotional situation. But for me, it's very much about walking away from a situation that you are going to go down into the depths of. It's like you really want to get to the bottom of this. Almost like this is ongoing. This is almost like it's been something that you keep repeating, and you want to find out the root cause of it. What is the real reason behind this? Why do I keep ending up having to kind of walk away from this situation over and over again? It's a deep emotional situation, and I feel that this has been something that's been ongoing. This has been going on for quite some time. That this isn't just like This isn't something that's just occurred over the last month or so. This goes back further than that. And this may be something that you walked away from or thought you walked away from, but it just kept coming back. And now in February, you really are kind of taking a long, hard look at it. You really do want to get to the root. You want to get to the bottom of this. You want to know why this keeps happening in your life. Why does it keep occurring? And it's a kind of, there's a very, like with the moon up here as well, kind of says to me that there's a lot of uncertainty here. There's a lot of things that haven't been revealed yet, maybe. And maybe that's also why you're feeling that you need to go down and kind of really ask yourself some very deep questions, Taurus, about not just this relationship, but about your past relationships as well. Your history, your patterns. I think that's what this is talking about here. Patterns within relationships. Why do you keep ending up, Taurus, in that same place? And what this is saying to me is really all you really want to do with the King of Cups here, all you really want to do is love. That's all you've tried to do, is give somebody your love. And you can't understand why this has happened again, because this was all you were trying to do. Because the King of Cups is very much about, when it's up this way, it would be saying to me that it's somebody who's very aware of their emotions, somebody who's very much in control of their emotions, somebody who's very kind of loving, gentle natured, compassionate, thoughtful, considerate, wants to help others, sometimes to the detriment of themselves. But when it's in reverse, I just get the feeling that this could have a lot to do with kind of overwhelming emotions. That this kind of overwhelms you. Or you keep getting overwhelmed by your emotions, Taurus. And you don't know why. You don't know why it is that you can't control your emotions. Although emotions, and when it comes to our hearts, sometimes our emotions aren't easy to control. But there is a sense here of just this real kind of overwhelming energy which keeps bringing you to this place here, to the Eight of Cups, to having to walk away from something because it all gets too much for you. It just all gets too much. And you may also find that when you go down into your emotions that this is going to happen as well, that there will be this outpouring, this real kind of trigger of emotions here. It's going to kind of take you to a place that you hadn't necessarily thought you were going to find yourself in. With the Eight of Cups, sometimes I think that it's quite important as well to actually get some kind of help with this, maybe some professional help, because it can go very deep. And you can also maybe discover things that you weren't aware of. On a more kind of instinctive level, maybe you knew something wasn't right, but you kind of ignored it. There could also be elements of that there as well. Because the King of Cups is very much about the intuition, the instinctual kind of knowing of something, the feelings behind something, but not necessarily always being able to put your finger on them and really kind of say, that's what is causing this. So that's your energy in February, Taurus. And in March, we have the Queen of Swords here. Now the Queen of Swords works very much with her intellect and her logic and her mind. She's much more of the mental realm rather than the emotional realm. And you can see here that she's kind of pouring her emotions out onto this very barren soil. She doesn't really want to take any notice of her emotions, and you may find that that's what happens after this. You may just feel that you're done with emotions at this time. That doesn't mean you're not going to be feeling, because the fact that she's sitting in this incredibly gorgeous turquoise dress, which for me represents the heart chakra and the throat chakra, the green of the heart and the blue of the throat, which is kind of saying there's a need for open, very heartfelt communication here. And honesty, truth and honesty, and maybe it's a need to be truthful and honest with yourself as well, Taurus. Maybe about having to walk away from this and really seeing this for what it is rather than for what you would like it to be. Or maybe finally just saying, right, that's it, that's enough, I can't do that anymore. And becoming more, what's the word? Not stern, not harsh, not more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like really sticking to your choices, maybe? Choice, not so much choice, but yeah, really kind of making up your mind about something and keeping to it, rather than letting somebody come back in, because the emotional attachment is still there, but they're not, but that emotional attachment isn't helping you. It's just making you feel worse. But the Queen of Swords has come out with the Love card, which kind of is an interesting scenario. And it says to me that this is about somebody who you have had a relationship with, because this relates to the Lovers. So this is somebody who you are still deeply in love with. It's up this way, it's upright. If it was up the wrong way, I would say that there's a real need for you to not trust this person. But I don't think that's the case. But I do think that during the month of March, you are going to have to distance yourself from the emotions of what's going on here. And maybe try and not just be more intellectual about it, but keep things to maybe just communication for a while. Maybe just kind of, you know, if this really is about love, if this really is about somebody who you want to share your life with and trust them, because I feel that somehow you don't at the moment, even though it's still upright. And I think that this has got something to do with this as well. Something has happened in the past, but you're still hoping, you're still wanting things to go the way that you dreamed they would have. But in March, it's almost like you are having to just connect with this person on an intellectual level. Conversations, communication, maybe going out, getting to know them again on a different level. just taking things slowly maybe. But the Queen of Swords has the ability to see through any BS. So you will know if this person's being honest and truthful with you, which I feel they are, but you will know. You will be absolutely perceptively aware of just body language and things they say, the way they say it, tone of voice, how they react towards you. You will pick up on all these things as the Queen of Swords. But you may hold off emotionally. I think that's what this is saying as well. You may hold back. Either that Taurus or somebody else is going to hold back on you. You're going to be the one who's wanting this and wanting to give love. But this other person may feel more guarded. I think that's the word I was trying to find earlier. Guarded, kind of guard your emotions. Don't give too much away too soon. And as we move into April, we have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords has come out in reverse. So it's saying to me that this situation is still kind of ongoing. There's a lot of swords energy in this reading. When I look through all of the cards, I will say that overall, Taurus, you have more sword energy than you do any other type of energy. And that is very much about the mental body. It's about the stress on the mental body. It's about the stress on the mind. It's about not being able to let something go that's kind of eating away at you. Something that you really feel that is like you can't change something. You don't know something. It's that time, it's like the card of nightmares, not being able to sleep, stressing yourself out, worrying. Just really, and because it's in reverse as well, this is kind of saying to me that this is ongoing. This is something that's been ongoing. But it has come out with the Emperor. And the Emperor energy is up the right way. And it's a major arcana card. So it kind of overrides this energy in some way. And the Emperor, to me, the energy here is very much about courage, the roar of the lion, a kind of coming out of this with much more kind of strength. There's a real kind of strength within this card. Much more kind of aware of your own identity, your own strength, your own ability. If you think of the Emperor, nobody kind of questions the Emperor's role or reign over something. You know, the Emperor was the Emperor for a reason, whether he put himself there or whether it was by birthright or... But there's this kind of driving, kind of masculine energy behind this. And again, it doesn't have to be male or female. Both have both within us. Let me just make that clear. So the Emperor, though, is that kind of divine masculine energy. It's the energy of I think of it as quite kind of Leo energy, it's fire energy, it's sun energy, it's also quite Mars-like energy as well. In this card, he's kind of dressed for battle. He's ready. He's ready to do battle. If battle, his sword is down. His sword is pointing down. Even though it does look as though he's already been into battle and he's just come out of battle. And maybe that's what this is about here as well. Is this feeling that you are going through this battle. That this is a mental battle. A real kind of battle with yourself in many ways. Because nobody else can see what's going on within your own head, Taurus. This is very personal. But I do feel that once you come out of this, this is what you are going to come out like. You're going to come out with this kind of lion strength and yeah, kind of the lion, king of the jungle type energy. Knowing your own strength, knowing that no matter what it is that you have to go through, you have this within you. You have this kind of in reserve, shall we say? And almost only when you get to this point, Taurus, of almost going under, do you kind of fight back within yourself and kind of almost pull yourself up by the bootstraps, so to speak, and say, right, come on. Come on. Where's my inner lion? So in May, we have the King of Swords. But the King of Swords is in reverse. So we have both the Queen and the King of Swords in this reading, this 2020 reading. Very different in the way that they look. Although the environment to me is always very interesting because it's very barren. So it kind of reflects this this more intellectual kind of, the intellect being quite harsh sometimes, quite sharp, quite cutting, quite like tongue, conversation, communication can be very sharp and very harsh and very cutting. And I think that's what this king's about here. He's in reverse. And he's never easy to really understand at the best of times, the King of Swords. He kind of has this kind of enigmatic side to him, which he kind of doesn't give much away. He's not an open book. And when he's in reverse, he's even less of an open book. He is very fair though. He has these kind of scales here. He does kind of represent the energy of Libra. And kind of more air. Again, the mental realm, the thinking, logical mind. But with Libra, it's always well balanced. Or he tries to be well balanced. Libras are not always well balanced, but that's their aim. They aim for harmony and peace, but they don't always do it the right way. And you could find that this king, whether this is going to be an aspect of yourselves, Taurus, or whether this is going to be somebody that you're going to have some kind of relationship with or some kind of communication with, or the King of Swords energy itself in reverse is saying to me that there's not a lot of room for kindness. He's not a particularly kind character, and he's come out with the Three of Air here as well. And the Three of Air is literally the Three of Swords. So this is about a kind of heartbreak. So this could be somebody that you're dealing with, Taurus. Somebody who may have had their heart broken quite severely in the past, and now they're kind of very guarded. Very guarded. Like they don't trust that it's not going to happen again. They don't trust somebody enough to let down their guard and kind of allow their heart to be healed. That's what I'm kind of getting from this energy here, because it is both, they're both swords. This is a Three of Swords, this is the King of Swords. And the Three of Swords is all about heartbreak. It's all about somebody who's really kind of betrayed you, really broken your heart, really. If you look here, she's kind of holding herself, and there's this kind of energy of doesn't know what's happening next. And maybe possibly walking away from something here as well. But there could be an energy here where there's an attraction where two people come together because they've both kind of been through the same thing. So they're trying to heal each other, trying to heal each other's hearts, but it's a difficult process because one doesn't trust the other one enough to let that happen. One has been hurt so badly in the past. Maybe both of them have been hurt so badly in the past. Like I say, maybe that's also what the attraction here is, Taurus, is that you want to kind of heal each other. Because there is a cathartic energy within this card as well. There is a kind of almost like a seeing through the bubble of something, like the way that you thought something was as opposed to how it actually was or is. And then the realization of how things actually are. So there could also be, and I do hesitate to say it because I don't like saying it that much and I hear it said a lot, but it could be a third party, a third person involved in this, or there could have been a third person involved in this. And maybe that's why this King of Swords is finding it so hard to trust somebody else again. But like I said, there's a lot of sword energy. There's a lot of mental energy, a lot of intelligent energy that you're dealing with, Taurus. And I feel that on some level as well, that at this time, in the first kind of 5 months of 2020, you need to do that. You need to communicate intellectually rather than any other way, rather than kind of, I think what I'm trying to say is rather than being physically involved with anybody, rather than, it's kind of keeping somebody at a distance to kind of work through things, but it has to be done more on an intelligent, intellectual, like you've got to be able to connect with this person on that level as well. If you can't connect with them, if you haven't got the same kind of interests as well with somebody, then you're not going to stay there. You're not going to stay in a relationship or with anybody who you don't feel that you can mentally connect with as well, Taurus. And I think that's kind of one of the bigger messages that is coming out within this as well, with all this sword energy, and you have more sword energy here. And the Seven of Swords is saying to me, with this kind of upside down king here as well, that there is going to be this feeling of things not being out in the open. And I feel that that's what this is about. There's a feeling that something is being kept hidden, something is guarded, something is not totally as it seems. Maybe this person won't even communicate to you about their feelings. There could be elements of that as well. There could be somebody who you really want to communicate with, but they're not open to it. Because the Three of Swords here and the Seven of Swords here. They're not open to it. They're kind of very much still in their hurt space, shall we say. Keeping their swords very close to their chest, or their cards very close to their chest. They're not giving anything away. It's a very dark energy. It's night time again. There's this feeling of something underhand. There's a feeling of somebody not being open and honest. They're going through the back door rather than kind of through your front door, so to speak. So they're kind of almost like sneaking around. And these kind of, the shadow image down here for me always kind of says protect yourself, Taurus. Protect yourself, because this energy could get quite nasty, quite disturbing. And it's come out with the Star card again, but this time the Star card has come out in reverse. And the Star, like I was saying earlier, talks about hope and belief in something that can work out, and kind of keeping your eye on that star and trying to kind of work through all this stuff that just keeps coming out at you. And each time you work through something, something else comes up. At the very bottom of this like chest, there is this beautiful star. And in this card, in this deck of cards, I see this more as a kind of healing. I would do if it was up the right way. It's like she's carrying this can't think of the word. It's not a vase, but it's like a jar of water, shall we say. It's a jar of kind of healing water, like the healing water of life. And she represents the Aquarius energy, the water bearer, the carrier of life. But in reverse, and with this card here as well, although it is a major arcana card and it does kind of override this, if it was up the right way, there would be a lot better energy about it. But there's this feeling of something that's not being healed here. There's a feeling of something that's kind of just very dark. A feeling that somebody, maybe you, Taurus, is trying to heal something between you and somebody else, but this other person is having none of it. They don't want to. They don't want to know. They're very protective of themselves as well. There's just this feeling of almost like it's like with the Queen of Swords here, almost like you're pouring this water out from this pitcher. That's the word I was trying to remember. From this pitcher of water here onto very barren soil. And maybe even that the more you try to help this person, the more you try to heal whatever it was that was wounded between you, with this 3 and these energies here, and King of Swords and this 3, which is very much the wounded heart, stabbed through the heart energy. The more you try to heal it, the more this person is turning away, the more this person is walking. I wouldn't say they're walking in the opposite direction. I don't think that's what's happening. I think almost it's almost like a sense of their taking pleasure in not accepting whatever it is that you want to offer. So they're not moving away, but they're just being very kind of deceitful. And you're just wanting to offer them this healing and this kind of help. But this person, like I said, is having none of it. But they're not leaving. They're not leaving. If that makes any sense, Taurus. And as you move into July, you have the 4 of Wands, which is a challenge in itself. So there you are, your ship is kind of coming in the background here, and you're kind of making up your mind with all these people that you have around you. Your support team, your tribe, those people that you want to take on this journey with you, all standing up there helping you prepare to get on this boat. And you're kind of thinking, right, am I ready for this? Have I prepared myself for this? Have we got everything we need? This is a challenge. This is a long journey, because this is a boat that's just come in that's going to take you somewhere else. And I feel as though it's going to take you away from all of that we've just spoken about with this other person. And you have the sun that's come out with this as well. So this is kind of saying to me that this is a victory. This is victorious. This is illumination. This is clarity. This is light all of a sudden being shone on what I think up until June is a very kind of dark, despairing type of energy. Just this kind of really stressful, mental, intellectual kind of you trying your best, but it just kind of not getting you anywhere, really. That's how I feel. And so you're deciding, right, okay, let's try something else. Let's take a different journey. Let's choose a different challenge here. And there is kind of this illumination, this clarity, this insight, this kind of sudden awareness and awakening. A real kind of release of the dark. Just, yeah, I just get this kind of feeling of brightness, more joy. Something's happier within you, something's lighter within you. You're kind of finally allowing yourself to move forward, move beyond. Sorry, I'm just going to take a sip of my tea. It's better. White tea, delicious. So by the time you get round to July, I just feel that things are improving for you, Taurus. Things are getting clearer. And it's like you are ready for this. You really are ready for this. You've kind of really got to that point within yourself, I feel. Because the sun also represents that Leo energy, that kind of emperor energy as well. Identity, self-identity, the ego, the personality, a real kind of, yeah, sense of self. A sense of self. You're stronger within yourself as well. You are ready for that challenge. You are ready to take that challenge up and get on that ship and see where it takes you. And you have the Ten of Swords, which is an ending. It's in reverse. So this says to me that this has been this ongoing situation of kind of all this mental stress and this worry and this fear and this kind of should I, shouldn't I, what happens if I do, what happens if I don't, what happens if, just constant like barraging of worries, fears, stressing yourself out about doing something, not doing something, which can just drive you insane. Just totally drive you insane, which is clearly what's been happening here with this upside down Nine of Swords as well. It's just this kind of real feeling of like insanity, no rest, no peace, no kind of end in sight. But here is the end. The Ten of Swords. Finally you are released from all this energy. And what I like about this particular card is the fact that he's not stabbed. It hasn't pinned him to the ground. It's not like being stabbed in the back like it is in some cards. This is kind of, the swords are now in the ground. He's totally exhausted, Taurus. This is you. This is you totally exhausted. And it's almost like you've just given up. And it's only really in the kind of moment of when you give up. And it's really interesting because it's come out with the Tower. And the Tower is a breakthrough. This is something that has just kind of totally broken through. I like to see it as a breakthrough. The kind of rays here kind of reminding me of this sun here as well, the kind of illumination, the kind of clarity, the kind of suddenly seeing things really clearly. This is a Uranus card, the card of Uranus, the Tower, and kind of the hitting. I kind of see this as Saturn and Uranus kind of energy together, the Tower representing the physical side of things, the kind of restrictions that we put on ourselves, the kind of the physical realm, in the sense of we build our walls around us. And this card here, the Tower, for me is always about breaking free from that. And although sometimes it may appear as though that's happening from an outer situation or something that comes along and kind of breaks it down and kind of leaves us in a place of like having to start again almost, there is something within us that has kind of needed that to happen, because we are now so tightly restricted by our own views, ideas, opinions and other people's that we take on board as well, that we've become so kind of tightly compact and restricted that we can no longer kind of breathe or move. Or so kind of on a metaphysical level, it's kind of breaking free from that. It's like breaking out of the restrictions. And for me, this is about breaking out of the restrictions of what our mind has made us go through over the last 6-7 months, Taurus. Or as made you Tauruses, although I am a Taurus, so I am kind of speaking from personal I wouldn't say experience, well maybe experience, but yeah, personally being a Taurus as well, I can understand, shall we say, what this energy is all about and where it's coming from and why. So there is this there is just this kind of real sudden realization, this breakthrough. This is a great card coming out with this card here, which is an actual final ending and a completion, because the 10 is the 1, so it's kind of starting that energy in a sense again, which is quite interesting because you do actually have Taurus straight after that in August, the Ace of Swords. And so, like I was saying, there is a lot of mental, intellectual, but this is the Ace. So this is a new energy. This is something that kind of, as this breaks, and as this is here as well, I feel that this is a completely new understanding of things. On a completely, it's almost like going up another level of realization, of kind of saying, you know, that's not happening again. This new way of seeing the truth, like really seeing the truth, like really understanding things on a completely different level of just truth and belief and kind of hope, and seeing through all of this and using this sword to cut it away, almost like before it even begins to get in the way. I'm getting this picture of kind of like vines, or even snakes maybe, kind of no longer allowing yourself to get entangled in that same sense. This sword, you're kind of chopping through it before it even gets to the point of being able to, a bit like Sleeping Beauty's castle, kind of really surrounding you, which I think is also like, you know, the tower here, a kind of Sleeping Beauty's tower being surrounded by all these vines, and it was only when the Wicked Witch was kind of killed that was it Maleficent, that the vines kind of all died and everything went back to normal. But there is this kind of, just this, and also I would say as well that the for Taurus, the conjunction that we've just had with Pluto and Saturn has all taken place within the 9th house of Sagittarius, which is very much about this kind of hope, belief, optimism, joy, expansion, the bigger picture, and the higher mind as well. And I think that's what this is about here. I think this is about the higher mind. It could also have something to do with the legal system as well. Some of you Tauruses may decide to take up the sword, or the sword of truth within the legal system yourselves. I don't feel that this is you having to deal with the legal system as such, because I think this is more about you rising above something. But you may kind of really decide to use your discernment, your kind of intelligent, intellectual understanding, perception, to kind of really see things clearly for other people as well. It's just this amazing, I think this is just going to be a real breakthrough. It's a real big energy. And coming out with this, I know I'm going back to it again, but coming out with this card here, I just feel that it's a real game changer, a real game changer. But what's come out with the Ace of Swords is the Hierophant, which is for me the energy of Sagittarius. I know most people don't see that as Sagittarius energy. Most people would call the Hierophant Taurus. Personally, I don't see Taurus in that at all. Being a Taurian myself, I don't understand that understanding. I see this very much as the higher mind, the Hierophant, the connection with the divine, because the galactic centre is also at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, the galactic centre being the point that kind of connects us to the rest of the universe out there, connects our little galaxy which we're in with our solar system to the rest of the multiverse. So This card for me is very much about change. This card, this Hierophant card in particular, I do not see this as anything to do with religion or the Pope or any of the normal things that people say about the Hierophant. I see this very much as being very individual. This is about finding your own identity. This is about being very kind of finding your divinity and your faith within yourself, and knowing that it comes from your connection with everything else. And I think that's what this is about as well. This is kind of the connection of the truth, of your connection to the divine, and really kind of understanding it on a higher level than you've understood it before, Taurus. This card in particular, because she's standing at an altar and she's got all her tools there. Very kind of similar to the Magician in many ways, I think, as well. I think there is an element of the Magician within this card. But she also has, like, she's got her hands up above her head as if to kind of bring that energy down into herself. And I think that's also kind of like, you know, she's really all about the truth, the Hierophant. All about the truth, but about the truth that is universal, source, the truth of the bigger picture. This isn't man-made truth. This isn't about your religion and your although I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those, with religion, for those people who have faith in their religion. But I do think there's a lot of change happening within what we do and don't believe anymore. Because the word Hierophant, or the word Pontifex, which is taken, the word Pope is taken from the word Pontifex. And the word Pontifex literally means bridge, and it was like the bridge between the physical world and the spiritual world. And the Pontifex was the person who kind of brought that energy down for everybody else. But unfortunately, it has been much abused over the centuries. The person with all the power to talk to the gods, of course they're going to abuse it unless they are somebody who is completely honest. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, the most honest people were the people listening rather than the people actually doing the kind of so-called channeling communication. Again, I'm not saying I don't believe in channeling and communication. I'm just saying that I think there's been a lot of abuse around that whole religious arena. And this card for me is very much about you finding it within yourself. Your connection to the divine, Taurus, and your truth, your own inner truth. That nobody, and I feel very strongly here as well, that nobody is ever going to be able to, I wouldn't say question, because I don't think it's a case of not being able to question you about it, but I think it's a case that nobody's going to be able to shake you from it. You're going to stand incredibly, like, totally firm in your beliefs. You know what you know, Taurus. So, by the time we get round to, sorry, I'm just kind of catching up with myself here, September, we have the Four of Swords. More swords. More swords. But this is the swords of kind of taking time out. This is you meditating. This is you reflecting. This is you healing. Giving yourself space, Taurus. Allowing yourself to just be. And I think that's what comes from this as well. I think there's a real inner strength within all of this. Just be. Just be. Just kind of let it settle. Let whatever it is that you've learnt here, whatever it is that you've kind of come to realise and to kind of really embody, just settle within you. Just digest it. And I also get the feeling as well that you're no longer going to be chasing anything. That whatever it is that you've chased for in the past, relationships or whatever, you're kind of not going to be doing that anymore. Whether that's also been financially as well. I just get this sense that you're going to be much more, right, well, I'm just going to kind of let it happen. It will happen. And you have the messenger of air there as well, which is the messenger of swords. Just to top it off, just because we don't have enough sword energy in this reading, we get the messenger of swords, which is the total opposite of this energy here. This is all about very quick thinking or quick acting energy, but in this card I don't get that at all. In this card I just get the feeling of really enjoying taking your time out. There's just this real sense of bliss on her face here. Just this real kind of, oh, so that's what it was all about. More time, just kind of real, just understanding, relaxation, just kind of really allowing dust to settle and for things to just really kind of be. That's the energy that I'm feeling here in September. Sorry, October. October. The energy of October. Because she literally has kind of got her eyes maybe just a little bit open, just enough to kind of, maybe she's waking up before you take action. Maybe that's what this is also saying, before you take action. But the Judgment card is coming out in November. So this is talking to me about you really kind of putting things to rest. About you really kind of saying, right, that's it. That's it. Let's bury, or let's bring up this, the dead, the ghosts, the past, and really release it. Really, really just let it go. And I feel that you might have tried this before, Taurus, and maybe even had aspects of this within this Eight of Cups as well. Maybe this is still the same journey that you're on here. And all of this has been about you going down into the depths and kind of what you've had to experience. But the Judgment card for me is also the Magician in his higher form. This is Hermes. This is Mercury. This is the god of the messengers. Sorry, the messengers of the gods. Got that round the wrong way. So there he is with his caduceus that was also here in the Magicians. It's like his staff of power representing the DNA of life, the two snakes. The wand itself here with the creative flame, it kind of represents the backbone, and this kind of represents the DNA and also the Kundalini energy as well. So this is Hermes in his full glory, kind of saying, come on, let's put this to bed. let's put this to rest. Let's just finally let go of this baggage. It's inner as well, because it's kind of, you see the garden out there and the two pillars here, and the kind of energy of going down those steps again with this card here. Having gone down those steps, this is where you kind of end up, I feel, Taurus, is really kind of letting go, really letting go of the past in November. And I feel that the last 2 years has also been quite strongly about this as well, that, pardon me, that you have been trying to do this for a long time. This is a long time lasting, this card. The Judgment card. It can also talk about somebody trying to come back into your life as well. Judgment, the kind of rising up from the dead. You may also find within that not baggage as such, but kind of history, shall we say, that there is something that still has life within it. A lot of it will just kind of be got rid of, dispersed, no longer working for you, no longer needed, no longer feeding your soul or your story anymore. Because this is also generational as well, or can be generational, depending, Taurus, on how deeply these, because they kind of, for me, represent people, situations, emotional events that have happened. So depending on how deep these go, these can also be generational. But there is definitely a kind of letting go process that you're going to be going through. And it's come out with the 5 of water as well, which is all about this kind of deep despair. It's kind of really letting things go here. An emotional experience. It's not going to be something that's kind of just like, oh, I'm just going to let that go. It's not going to be like that. This is going to be something that is going to be very deeply felt. Deeply felt. But also, again, very much needed. It's a real release. It's a really strong, powerful release of your history and your past, Taurus. Time to let it all go. All of that you've been carrying. And I feel that's what this is about, is kind of accumulation, if you like, and kind of, again, this restriction, weighed down, this kind of weighed down baggage. The more you carry, the more weighed down you have felt, the heavier things have been for you, Taurus. But it is coming to an end. That is coming to an end in November. Like I say, it's going to be emotional. It's not just going to be a case of, oh, I'll just let that go. There's going to be a lot of emotion attached to it. And you may find afterwards that you kind of find yourself in this sort of empty place. Another 4. 4 of Cups. And in this particular card, there is a sense of disappointment. All the 4 cups are still standing here, which is interesting, because it could be saying that, there is something that you can rebuild on. An emotional situation that you thought was not going to come back into your life even. But there is this sense of emptiness, of wanting to feed that empty kind of despairing hole. I often say with this card, it's a bit like the shopaholic. It's like you go out and you buy something new because you need to fill that empty gap, and you have it and you're kind of delighted with it for about 10 minutes. You take it home, you try it on, looks great, you hang it in your wardrobe and you never wear it. And then you go and do it again and again and again, because you're just kind of feeding that empty hole with something. And this kind of despairing, despondent energy. But I feel that that's kind of what's going to come out from this. Once you've kind of done that releasing, once you've kind of really gone through that emotional purging, there is going to be this feeling of just emptiness for a while. And almost like a sense of, what have I done? Why did I do that? And possibly also a kind of, I wouldn't say guilt, kind of, with these 4 cups as well, this kind of realization of what you left in the past. It's not guilt so much, but just this feeling of like, why did it happen the way it happened? Why that wasn't meant to be that way? That wasn't supposed to happen like it happened. Yeah, because these 2 sisters are kind of reflective of our inner voice as well, the kind of questions, asking yourself lots of questions. And it's come out with another 4, which is the 4 of fire in reverse. Now normally the 4 of wands is a celebration card. It's a card of kind of, a lot of people see it as the kind of wedding engagement card. And there's something here about her being very kind of like she's playing her tune, and she's kind of very, and I think, yeah, kind of like this hole here, as I was talking about earlier, I didn't even recognize that, I didn't even see that, this kind of hole, this emptiness. So by the time you get to, and there's also these 4 lights here, kind of representing the 4 wands, but also representing the 4 cups here as well. We could also kind of speak of this 8 of cups energy. The kind of walking away from whatever it was that you walked away from. There's a real strong kind of similar energy between these. This empty hole that's not being filled. So this is where you're at by December, Taurus. And I just get a sense of, you wanting to rebuild. A sense of you wanting to rebuild something. That you're ready to rebuild something. With those middle energies as well, I'm actually going to pull another card. I don't normally do this for readings, but I'm going to do this because I'm not happy or satisfied with that ending. So I'm going to ask for one more card for the 4 of Cups and the 4 of Fire. A card for Taurus. Sun, Moon, Venus and Rising for 2020 December. Why the Four of Cups? That's interesting because this actually came out with this card earlier and I put it back in. And I just thought, no, I'm just going to take the 2 cards because everything else has just got 2 cards. So I'm not going to put 3 cards on it, but apparently I am. So this is the card, the Death card in normal tarot decks. It's a transformation in this card. But it's the same thing, it is the Death card. And here she has this phoenix in her hands and she's very focused on it. This little girl here is very focused on this phoenix rising from her hands, and as we know, the phoenix rises from the ashes, but it is upside down. So it's saying to me, as a major arcana card, that this is something that's going to be an ongoing process, that this transformation is happening, but it isn't going to happen immediately. This is going to take some time to develop. The phoenix is rising from the ashes, whatever that phoenix may be. And I feel that it's something from your past, Taurus, something from your past that you're going to reevaluate, maybe, as well. Maybe that's also what this is about, this reevaluation. Maybe that's what's going on here, and there's this, like, you know, the empty hole that I was talking about that needs to be filled. Maybe that's also what this transformation is about as well, is realizing that the only person that can really fill that for you is you. And that it doesn't matter how much you buy or how many clothes you have hanging in your wardrobe, male or female, that it's all about the inner process. It's all about the transformation, the evaluation. So this card was definitely meant to come out for you, Taurus. I know you should really learn to listen better. Yeah. Ongoing process, but it's taking longer than necessary. It could. In reverse. Transformation, the death of something, letting go of things, an ongoing process. It's alchemical. It's an alchemical process that's taking place here. Death of the old, definitely death of the old, and birth of the new, because that was, of course, what this is about as well. This is very Pluto energy, actually, very Plutonian energy. Pluto still being in Capricorn. All about this energy here in many ways as well, the kind of breakthrough, the breakdown, the transformation. This is very Capricorn and Uranus energy. Uranus in Taurus. Pluto in Capricorn. This kind of energy, which is a lovely card to end on. So I am going to finish this reading here because it's now getting on time-wise and I need to get this uploaded onto my channel. I would just say thank you very much for listening. I really hope this is going to be of some help to you, Taurus. Stuttered. If you feel that anybody else would benefit from this reading, please feel free to share it, get the message out there to as many Tauruses as you know, whether that's Taurus, Sun, Moon, Venus or Rising. Also, could you like my video, please? because it helps get it out into the kind of wider video YouTube world. And please also subscribe to my channel. That would really help me, because I'm really trying to grow my channel at the moment and get my messages out there into the bigger kind of tarot world of what's going on. And also tap the bell, because that would help you to get the videos as and when I put them out, and I will be putting more videos out there. Again, I will apologise, Taurus, for it being middle of January and me only just getting around to putting out my New Year videos, but I am getting there. So all the best, Taurus, and hopefully I will see you back again soon. Take care.